Hello folks, we're going to explain what a TPS sensor can cause on these Toyotas Tercels or the 90s Toyota. So we are going to try to explain a little bit that TPS, all it is throttle position sensor, and what that does, it tells the computer how much the throttle body has opened, so it can calculate fuel and compared to how much air is going into it, depending on where the butterfly is, how much is open. So the butterfly, as it opens, it gives it moves in the throttle body, and it lets air into the engine. So then the computer calculates how much fuel needs to go in based on this sensor. Is helping the computer calculating the angle or the butterfly of the throttle body. So these sensors are very unique. They actually help the computer to calculate that. So this is the 91 to 94 Toyota Tercel, and this one is from a 95 to 99 Toyota Tercel or Paseo. So what these sensors, they're almost identical. They use the same connector for either one. So today we have this sensor right in our engine, which is the Tercel, and we're going to show you on the dash that our engine is running normally, and we're going to disconnect that sensor and go through some scenarios to hey Jefferson, thank you for watching our video. We're running this scenario so you guys can understand a little bit of these sensors. So the fans just kicked in because this engine is warming up. So we're gonna show you that our engine is running normally in RPMs and is no check engine light on. So let's go start those scenarios on our little engine, so that way you guys can troubleshoot your own car in case something like this comes up. So we're gonna disconnect the sensor, and we're gonna try to accelerate our engine and see what happens, and then we're gonna plug in some of these sensors in there and try to give it some fuel and see what happens. So we don't recommend you doing this in your own car, because we are risking our own little engine. So let's put this phone right here so you guys can have a better angle. So right there is our sensor. This is our TPS. It's one of these guys. This is what we got in there. This is the 95 to 99 Toyota Tercel. They use the same connector, as you can see, for both of them. It goes into this one and it goes into this one. So that their cell uses the same wire connector. So now what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna disconnect this sensor. So now the RPMs came up. So before we start messing with the engine, let's go look at what happened on the dash so you guys get an idea. So now we have the RPMs that we heard it going up a little bit, and our check engine light came on. So our RPMs as are well are above 1,000 RPMs, 1,100 RPMs probably. So now that we've done that, let's go back and start some of these scenarios that we're talking about. So first thing, we disconnected our sensor. It's not connected to anything, so we're gonna increase the RPMs by giving it some throttle. So the engine, actually, the only thing that happens to the engine is that it just went up on RPM. So the computer is actually getting no signal from the sensor, but what it's still doing is still feeding some fuel, or more fuel than normal, to the engine to keep it running. But what happens if you have a bad sensor that is not sending, it's not working? So what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna plug in the 99 Toyota Tercel. So the RPMs went back down. Let's look at what's happening on our dash again. So we have that our check engine is still on, but the RPMs went down. So that's with the 95 Toyota Tercel and 99 Tercel TPS. So we're gonna disconnect the original TPS from the 95 and connect the 91 to 94 Toyota Tercel. So now we got the original sensor in, and let's go look and see what happened and see if the check engine light went on. It's still on, so we might have to reset the computer by disconnecting the battery. These computers are easy to reset. So now we have the sensor right there, and what happens? We're trying to get you a better view. What happens if we give it some throttle and that sensor never moves, and if it's connected? This is what's going to happen. So what happens is that the computer is cutting off the fuel to the engine because it's not reading that the throttle body is moving. It, when that sensor was connected to the when that computer when that sensor was not connected to the wiring, it will still give it fuel, but it's gonna consume more fuel. When it's connected to it, but it's not moving, it's gonna cut the fuel because it's reading a signal, but it's not gonna give it power. When it's not connected, it's not reading anything, so the engine just gives it fuel. So what happens if I move it with my own finger? The RPMs come up. So what happens if I just move the throttle body? So it cuts off the power or the fuel. So now we're gonna rotate this with our own finger as we give it throttle and see what happens. So as it moves, it gives it more fuel, and so it's actually reading. So if your engine is using a lot of fuel or RPMs are high, and then the check engine light is in the dash, and sometimes you don't get any power in your engine doesn't create any power, or you're getting like a bad bog, check this TPS. That might be the problem. So we wanted to expose that because some Toyotas, you might have that problem with the TPS and you can locate the problem. So hopefully this is useful. And let's see if the check engine light went away. If not, we're gonna have to reset our computer by disconnecting the battery. But that's how we reset our computer. So now we're gonna plug it in and put it back to normal. So we wanted to expose this, so just some scenarios that it can run with this TPS. Okay, folks. Hopefully this video was useful and helpful and give you some tips. And we'll disconnect this, put it back into the car, and now it should be normal. We're just gonna have to run the battery to disconnect it so this can reset the computer. On these 90s, it's easy to reset these computers. Okay, folks, so hopefully this is useful. Take care, and we'll see you soon with more videos here in el canal, el Chano Jose.